Hello there. I'm Nu-Trix, and today I'm going to explore with you the latest plugin from Cherry Audio. What I love about Cherry Audio is that every time they release something, I feel I'm actually exploring the past of the weird, powerful, surprising synthesizers. You know, the vintage stuff that nobody can get their hands on today because either it's so rare that, it costs too much to actually own one, or they actually add limited issues of these devices, so there's little of them left. So this one today is the Korg Trident Mrk III. It's a piece of hardware that I discover with Cherry Audio because it's not something that I knew about before. In 1981, Korg released the Trident. It was a monster synth at the time. It was an 8-voice analog synthesizer, 16 VCO. Let's back that up. 16 VCO, analog voltage controlled oscillator. 16 memory slots, so not a little memory, but that was the case. And it's actually part orchestral in the box, part multi-timbral, and it's kind of a huge sound you can do with this. And it can do also a synthesizer, bass synthesizer. So there's actually 3 sections, and it's actually playing 3 different synthesizers at the same time. So it's just a huge piece of hardware. It sounds massive. So the Trident, let's look at how it works. Of course, the Cherry Audio version offer you more, because they always do. Now remember that there's always the option at the top to go focus and just dive into a specific section of the synthesizer. The interface is quite simple. The top row, the synthesizer section, the brass section, the string section, these are basically the 3 different generators, the 3 different synthesizer built into this. So one being the synth, the more classical synth, if you want, traditional synth, one specifically for brass sound, and one for string sounds. And that was the case that often at the time you would have these specific sound, and then you would, use them as you needed. So you can basically layer them. That's the basic logic. After that, the keyboard, of course, and control for the keyboard. And at the bottom, there's something really interesting. You've got motion, so you've got a sequencer here, and that's where you also see how you're going to layer these 3 realities, the synthesizer, the brass, and the strings. Do you want to layer on the bottom here, here under that? Well, you're just triggering the synthesizer and the brass, whereas on the top after C3, you're triggering the brass and the string. So it's really just a way to layer it, and you can basically click it and select where you want, and you have these here that are quick ways to split them. So there's like presets if you want, but you can still go in and modify the way you exactly want it to work. You can also crossfade, meaning as you go from this section to this section, so when they overlap, they're basically this one's gonna fade out, this one's gonna fade in as you move up and down. So you're gonna have gradually movement between the 2. And you've got control here about, do you want the pitch bend to affect brass and string, or just the synthesizer? Same logic here at the bottom, brass, string for the intensity here of the vibrato. So you get the vibrato and how fast and intense it is. The aftertouch controls. And here you have a big section of motion, because that's what you have. You have the polyphonic step sequencer. You have an arpeggiator 1 and arpeggiator 2. And each of them, if you look very closely, you see that you have the choice of which one it's going to affect. It's going to be on the synthesizer, the brass, or the strings, and same logic here. So you can really separate that and having 3 different movement happening at the same time. Arpeggiator 1 and 2 are mostly the same, not to say they're basically the same structure that you see the often. So turn it on first, decide the type of pattern you're going to have, the direction you're going to have, the range it's going to play on. Is it going to be on latch or not? Is it synced? and the speed, and it's going to be, you can pull it and push it so you can have it, earlier or later on the tempo. And chance, you want some notes to stop appearing if you want, and you can also have swing. So all of these, same thing for the two. And this one, well, you can record note, polyphonic notes, and then trigger the two patterns that you have here. So you can say you're going to play A or B, or A and B, or A, there's different ways to play back this. So this is pretty cool. And also the way it's going to play, it can go, it play once and stop, it can loop, it can ping pong. So it means it goes to the front and come back, so back and front. And then random, it just plays the notes inside that list. So this is really cool. And there's something also here you can click and copy the patterns or transpose. So let's say you create a pattern on A and then you copy on B if you want to. So just a little choice here with this little arrow to go and deeper on this. So again, this is really cool to bring some movement. Of course, that's what I call it, motion. You have access here. And the last one, you already see some of it here with effects at the bottom here. When you click on effects here, you can actually have access to 4 different lines of effects. You've got one specifically for the synthesizer, one specifically for the brass, one specifically for the strings, and one global effect. And for each of them, you get a chain of 5 of them. So it's just massive, the amount of effects you can have here. And it's something we saw in the last couple of Cherry Audio synthesizer. These effects sounds amazing. They sound really nice and lush, and you've got a big list of them. If you click here, you have a list, bucket brigade, delay, flanger, compression, digital delay, digital reverb, distortion, digital dual delay, dual ensemble, dual phaser, envelope filter. There's just a massive amount of them, and for each of them, you got a lot of really cool way to control, and they're very friendly to use. And if you click on the side here, you can actually duplicate, so you can copy this sound to this effect you decide you like. You can copy it to strings so they have the same effect if you want to. You can move to another place. You can copy the entire effect chain. It's just a cool way to navigate here. And you can also add modulators to that. So you could have some part of the effect to be modulated. You have it on modulation here. You can say this part here, I'm going to use this speed modulation, which is a sine wave. This is going to play, this sound is going to modulate it. So that sound will be modulated, and part of the effect will be moving using the source of modulation that you have here and the amount of modulation you decided to have here. Really cool. Let's really just go in really quickly and listen to some of the sounds. So let's just analyze what we have here. Well, we have, if we turn up these, so we have the synthesizer playing. So synthesizer, and we have the the sequence playing here. You can also have a step advance, which is actually pretty cool. So as you play the note, it will just add another step and change the way it reacts. So this is interesting. And let's turn that off just to listen to the... So the Synth is actually a pretty cool sounding synthesizer with a very nice and warm filter. So the oscillator VCO1, VCO2. If you want to listen to both of them, you got the volume here. So right now we have volume 1 and volume 2. And we have some movement in it. And then we got your filter. With the resonance, that's the Korg filter. That is a bit nasty, a bit dirty, and you hear it saturating, like on the MS. So that's a cool one, but if you don't want that sound, you just cleaner sound. But as you bring resonance, you have some type of saturation happening. So that's pretty cool. If you, I find it. You can have the tracking of the keyboards. As you go up and down, the filter opens up and closes. You've got ADSR for the filter and ADSR for the amplitude, and we have velocity for both of them. So that's a very simple synthesizer if you look at it. The modulation, you have it here. So as we hear wom wom stuff happening, you've got some modulation going. Modulation on the VCF. I love to do that because it sounds like you've got an arpeggiator, but you don't. It's just a filter open up and closing on time with the attack of the sawtooth going down on the modulation. So that's just a... No, I like that part. And there's different ways to play it. Monophonic. You can unison if you want. You can detune the unison. Very massive sounds. I just like that sound. It's just like, man, it's growly. It's just nasty. Brass now. You want some resonance, sustain. And you have the strings here. So basically what you have here is you don't have a lot of control over the source because you don't have the control over the oscillator. You have the filter, the vibrato for the brass, and the string you've got, well, the attack, the high, the level, the low, so you can, you know, push. EQ if you want, attack and release. There is always sustain. It's a sustained string. You can play with the bowing. How much you want to hear it. You get the vibrato if you want. And the master is basically the volume and the panning here. You get the panning of the two and the transpose for the two, brass and string. Now it becomes alive when you turn all of these at the same time, and then you when you start to play with the notion here of layers. And that's where, by looking at see that we hear, you turn these off. Only have this one plus this one. Turn this one off. We could actually add the strings, but it wasn't there. And it can respond to aftertouch. It's a Cherry Audio synthesizer. It's a recreation of a cool synthesizer from the past, added with new features. The effects are cool. What's cool about this one from the original already was the fact that you can layer these 3 different synthesizers in different ways. Now, this is easier to do with the software version, but the fact that you can have them split, layered, crossover, it gives you option of having these different things, like you can just having bass and lead, or you can have a massive sound with all that happening. Plus, with the motion of the arpeggiator and the sequencer, the fact that you can use all of this at the same time can just give you a massive, massive sound. Now, of course, if you use this, it takes a lot of space in your mix because you're actually using 3 synthesizers in a box. If you're into vintage historical synthesizer, and especially one that sounds good, the Trident Mrk for cinematic type of sounds and else. Stay safe, make more music, and see you soon. Cheers.